There was a time when everyone knew what was happening. The top song on the radio, you'd heard it 100 times, the big movie in theatres, your cousin, your co-worker, and the kid down the street had all seen it. The hot celebrity breakup, you didn't need to Google it. It was on the news, in the magazines, and the subject of dinner table conversation. Everything was synced. Culture felt massive, universal, it was everywhere and it meant something. But now, the mainstream is dead. And maybe you didn't notice the moment it happened. There was no big crash, no final song, just a quiet fading away until one day you looked around and realised nobody's talking about the same things anymore. You ask someone, "Did you hear about this?" And they look at you like you're speaking a different language. Because you kind of are. What we lost is something called monoculture, a shared cultural experience that connected us all, and while it sounds nostalgic and warm, its death has reshaped everything we know about entertainment, music, community, and identity. So today, we're diving into it, the death of mainstream, how it happened, why it happened, and what it means for the future. Let's start from the beginning. Back in the day, entertainment was scarce, not in quality, but in access. If you wanted to listen to music, you bought a physical album. If you wanted to watch a movie, you went to the theatre. If you missed your favourite show on TV, you were out of luck. You had to wait for a rerun or read about it in a TV guide. And because the options were so limited, everyone ended up watching and listening to the same things. You didn't get to choose what you liked as easily as we do now. You just followed what was available, and that created a shared experience. In 1946, movie theatres reached their highest weekly attendance in US history, 90 million people. That's more than half the population at the time, not because every film was amazing, but because it was one of the few things to do, one of the few entertainment experiences that was available to everyone, everywhere. Then came television, and that changed everything again. Suddenly, you didn't have to leave your house to be entertained. TV shows, sitcoms, sports, cartoons, it was all there, broadcasted into your living room, but you still had to watch it live, which meant people all over the country were watching the exact same thing at the exact same time. That's what gave those shows their power. You couldn't just hit record or watch later, so you scheduled your day around it. You'd gather with your family at 8 p.m, sit through the ads, and then talk about the episode the next morning with co-workers or classmates. There was a rhythm, a flow, a common ground. Even music followed the same path. Before the internet, if you wanted to hear your favourite song, you had to either own the record or wait for it on the radio or MTV. That wait built anticipation, and that anticipation built connection. You and your friends didn't just listen to music, you obsessed over it together. You passed around CDs, argued about lyrics, memorised track lists, and when a pop star made it big, they felt untouchable, larger than life. Because you didn't see them every day. No Instagram posts, no behind-the-scenes TikToks, just glossy magazine covers and one exclusive interview on late-night TV. There was mystery, and that mystery made them magnetic. But then the internet happened, and it didn't just change the game, it flipped the board completely. At first it was slow, AOL chat rooms, LimeWire downloads, fan forums. It felt like a secret club. You had to work to find stuff, load times were terrible, videos glitched, images didn't always load, but that friction made everything feel earned. Finding a rare song or TV clip online was exciting, you had to dig, you had to care. But that early excitement turned into total convenience, and convenience killed the monoculture. Once everything became available to everyone at any time, nothing felt special. Why line up to buy a CD when you could stream it instantly? Why wait for a show to air when you could binge the entire season in a weekend? Why go to the theatre when it'll hit streaming in a few weeks? The more accessible content became, the less it mattered. Because now your music library isn't 20 CDs, it's 100 million songs. Your movie shelf isn't a stack of DVDs, it's every film ever made. And while that sounds amazing, it comes at a cost. No one's watching the same things anymore. The timeline is gone, the structure is gone, and the community that came with it, gone. Even with movies, that decline is visible. In the early 2000s, you had blockbusters, films that completely took over culture for weeks, even months. Spider-Man, The Dark Knight, The Matrix, everyone knew when they were coming. You circled dates on your calendar. You bought the ticket. You waited in line. Even smaller movies had a shot because people actually went to the theatre, and if you missed it, no worries. You could rent it at Blockbuster, and even that was a social experience. You talked to the clerk, you asked what was popular, you took a chance on a random movie because the cover looked cool. That scarcity created value. It forced you to choose, to commit, to care. Streaming took that away. Now you just scroll and scroll and scroll. You spend 45 minutes browsing Netflix and end up rewatching The Office for the 15th time, not because you love it, but because nothing else grabs you. And because no one else around you is watching the same stuff, you don't feel that push to stay in the loop. That's the paradox of modern entertainment. We have access to everything, but nothing feels worth it. And music's even worse. Today, 100,000 new songs are uploaded every day. You can listen to all of them, and yet somehow music feels smaller, forgettable, disposable. The most popular song in the world might be one you've never even heard. The most streamed artist might not show up on your playlist. TikTok makes songs viral for 10 seconds, and then they disappear. There are no eras, no cultural ownership, just flashes of hype that burn out instantly. We used to live with albums, listen to every track, learn the lyrics, feel something. Now, we skip a song after 12 seconds if it doesn't hook us. And the artist, you follow them online, you see every tweet, every opinion, there's no mystery, no aura. Just another person begging for streams. That connection we used to feel, that value we used to give to music, movies and shows is diluted by infinite supply. But here's the twist. This isn't entirely a bad thing. For decades, if you didn't fit the mainstream mould, you were invisible. If you didn't like the top artists, the big shows, the trending fashion, you had nowhere to go. You were weird. You were alone. Now you can find your people. You like Viking history reenactments? There's a community. You collect 3D printed cat figurines? There's a Facebook group. You love making hyperpop music on your iPad? There's an audience. The internet broke the mainstream, but it built millions of niche cultures. And in those spaces, people aren't just accepted, they're celebrated. The weird kid drawing anime in her notebook, now she has a fan base. The gamer making funny voices online, he's now a millionaire. For creators, this is a golden age. You don't need a record label or studio, you just need your phone. The gatekeepers don't decide anymore, you do. But that freedom came with a cost. The more personalised our content becomes, the less we understand each other. You don't just live in a content bubble, you live in a belief bubble. Your algorithm feeds you what you already agree with. You see the same takes, the same voices, the same jokes, and you forget that outside your bubble, millions of people are having a completely different experience. And that's why the mainstream feels gone. Not because there's no content, but because we're all watching different shows, listening to different music, following different trends, and arguing from different starting points. We don't share culture anymore, we scroll past it, and that's why people feel more lost, more disconnected, and more nostalgic than ever. So where do we go from here? Honestly, there is no going back. The mainstream as we knew it is gone, but that doesn't mean we can't create meaning. We just have to work for it. Seek out art that moves you. Watch a show with someone. Go to the theatre. Buy a physical album. Make entertainment matter again. Don't let the algorithm decide your taste. Build your own world. Take the long road. Be curious. The death of mainstream doesn't have to mean the death of meaning. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all. Thanks for watching.